Hello guys. You are on the channel Alice Reddit Stories. Enjoy watching. Should I, 28F, leave my BF, 27M, because he is too similar to my ex? I am looking for advice from the masses, particularly from people who don't know my personality/history/ think they know what's best for me and are able to comment on this situation at face value. I am also providing some background on my past relationship as it is relevant to my current situation. I, 28F, ended a 7-year relationship with my ex, 33M, in December of last year. The breakup was mutual, though he did try to get me back a few months later, which I declined and haven't heard from him since. Our relationship was pretty much platonic for the final year of it. We slept in separate beds, weren't intimate, and I worked during the day while he was mostly unemployed and stayed up playing video games all night. Basically, we rarely saw each other, and it took me very little time to get over him after the breakup because I hadn't really considered him a partner for more than a year. Leaving him was honestly a relief, and I haven't thought about him since January of this past year. I wish him the best. He is a very good person, but he needs to go and figure his shit out on his own. As I mentioned, my ex was unemployed and unwilling to do anything to fix his situation. I found jobs for him, I found someone to do his resume, I helped him apply for schools, and in doing all of this I neglected my own life in favor of fixing his. I did 99% of the cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping, laundry, the general care of the apartment, and was the only one working for the better part of a year. I also tried to get him to go to therapy for his depression. I even offered to pay until he found a job. Not that he was looking for one anyways, but he still refused, even when I told him the continuation of our relationship was dependent on it. The irony is that I went to therapy at his behest 4 years earlier, and yes, it helped me. Thanks for the push, ex. Yet he was unwilling to do the same for me. In sum, I was more his mother than his girlfriend. He was unwilling to fix his financial/work situation and would rather sit in his misery than do anything about it. I ended things knowing I needed to stop putting so much energy into others because it was just me avoiding my own problems. Anyways, a few months after the breakup, I met a guy who I'll call George, 27M, and we really hit it off. He's a really great guy, attentive, emotionally available, and all around a wicked person. We have a ton in common and can talk for hours on end about any topic imaginable. I was also upfront with George about my situation and how things had been with my ex, and explained that I was willing to give a relationship a try, but I was going to be focused on myself for the next couple of years, and he had to be okay with that. He told me that he was, and we made it official between us in late April. I will admit that I felt a bit pressured by him, not his fault, into making things official because he dropped the L-bomb really early on. I was honestly shocked. My ex and I never used that word, and TBH anything to do with love makes me intensely uncomfortable, but I wanted George to be happy and I enjoyed his company, so I was willing to give an official relationship a go. I told him I couldn't say it back, and it would be a long time until I could. He took it well and said he expected as much. I assumed it would be at least a year before I heard it back from you, if not longer. Unfortunately, a lot of things have come up over the last few months that has made it difficult for me to figure out how I truly feel about George, and I don't know what to do. I try very hard to not compare him to my ex, but recently the parallels are so stark that I can't help myself. First, George works what we both consider to be a dead-end job. He is highly intelligent and could be anything he sets his mind to, and chose to pursue art instead of school. He is now realizing that art isn't going to pay the bills. I told George that I don't care how much money my partner makes as long as they are able to learn, grow, save money, and are content with themselves. This is not the first time George and I have had this conversation. His discontent with work has only gotten worse in the last few months, and he's starting to parrot my ex in a bad way. Recently, he had another breakdown about his financial situation, and I listened, offered support and some advice, but ultimately said it was his life and his decision. Much like my ex, he replied that he believes it is too late to go back to school for something else and thinks that every other profession is going to make him miserable, yet having no money also makes him miserable, so he's just gonna sit in his misery. I hate to say this, but I don't want to deal with this again. I'm all for venting, I get it, that's what partners are for, but don't vent to me and then do nothing about it. I told George as much I can't fix this for him, he's got to do it on his own. I will be a great cheerleader from the sidelines, and support anything he decides to do, but I don't have the capacity to make this my problem right now. I have enough on my plate as it is. I don't make a lot of money either, and the degree I hold is useless for employment, but I work my ass off every day, sometimes working 50 to 55 hours a week, to save money so I can eventually go back to school and do something different. I've already had to sideline an important school course so I could pursue this relationship. My choice, so blame lies with me, but I'm kicking myself for it. I want to be able to do both, but I'm stretched so thin as it is. Coinciding this issue is a situation regarding one of George's best friends, a girl, Miranda, who is married to his other best friend, Joe. Miranda and Joe, despite being young, have done really well for themselves. George often compares his lack of success to their successes, and Miranda's recent promotion set off George's most recent feelings of inadequacy. George has known Miranda and Joe for over a decade. They are good people. When we first started seeing each other, George made a lot of comparisons between me and Miranda. I was fine with that, as she is a kick-ass person, and I personally have a lot of guy friends and believe friendship works across genders. Recently, though, I am starting to question things. It is very clear that George loves Miranda, platonically, maybe romantically at one point, I do not know, and now that I've been exposed to their dynamic more, I feel uncomfortable when George draws comparisons between us. I know that nothing would ever occur between them, but sometimes I honestly feel like I'm Miranda 2.0 to him. They don't see each other often, and it is very clear that the friendship between Miranda, Joe, and George is their top priority, so I'm not worried about any funny business. I also don't want to bring these feelings to George, because I feel like it would be unfair considering the three of them have all known each other for 10+ years. In short, I feel that my emotions are misplaced here. I am very confident in who I am, and I don't know why this Miranda situation is bothering me so much. At the end of the day, I desperately don't want to hurt anyone in all of this. I'm terrified of ending things with George, because he is a great guy and I can see myself building a life with him one day. But I can't give myself completely to him right now, either. Moreover, when his last relationship ended, he spiraled into a very dark place, during which Miranda was his main supporter, and I do not want that to happen to him again, especially when he's done nothing wrong to make me feel this way. I've tried to be as transparent as possible with him about my headspace, but the last month I've been a mess and have kept a lot of my feelings to myself, because they flip-flop on an almost hourly basis. I also feel an intense responsibility to George's well-being, and I genuinely want things to work between us. But it's very clear as I'm typing this that I'm struggling with my mental capacity to give myself to anyone right now. TLDR, I don't know if I should break off my current relationship with a really nice guy who's just stumbling through life like the rest of us, because he has too many similarities to my ex and is perhaps comparing me to the girl he has loved for years. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. There are many interesting stories ahead of you.